let's say you do want to be busier. That outcome is like boiling water. You need to find the pieces. You need to find the version of getting the metal pot, filling it with water, and putting it over a flame, because it exists. It is somewhere within your system. Welcome to another episode of the Physician Growth Accelerator, a show where we break down your medical practice systems into vitals, give you the tools to diagnose root cause of what may be restricting your growth, and prescribe what to do about it. I'm your host, Zed Williamson, and I believe that every system is perfectly designed to get the result it gets. When you wrap your head around that concept, it gives you freedom. First, it can seem a little yeesh because now you're looking at all the things you don't like as a result of your current business. But it's okay, because those are the perfect outcomes. And once we understand that, we can dive into the system that created it, make the tweaks that we want, and get the outcome that we want in our business. Now, the show is titled Physician Growth Accelerator, and it's important to me for you to understand the definition of growth. Sometimes I get feedback that people will say, well, I don't want to be busier. I understand that. I don't see growth necessarily as being busier. Maybe it's a goal of yours, maybe it's not. To me, growth is about health. Your business has to be healthy for you to be able to create a moat around your medical practice so that you can focus on the things you love. You can focus on treating patients, giving them the best care, creating the outcome for them, while also creating a good business outcome for yourself. So the business side of your medical practice is important to keep healthy. Now, what I want to do today, I want a little bit to bend your reality. So you don't need to think a long time about this, but just grab something in your practice that's a little bit frustrating, something that you wish was better. Maybe it's not holding you back tremendously. You know, your practice is successful. You've been around for a long time and things are going pretty good. What I want you to find is, what are the things that make it just pretty good and not excellent? Maybe it's in-office conflict. Maybe it's you have some open capacity for procedures that you love doing. Or maybe it's frustration with reducing reimbursements. Anything at all. Just pick one thing. And I want you to think of something that you truly believe is out there. In other words, it's the world doing it to you. It's something you just have to deal with. It is the way it is something that maybe pops into your mind. Once you have that thing in your mind, just let it sit there for a moment as I walk you through a little exercise to help you take a step back and think differently about the business side of your medical practice. So here's the little game we're going to play. We're changing your business right now. And right now, your business, the only thing it has to do is it has to generate, it has to have water that is the ambient temperature of your office. I know this seems a little bit strange, but just hang with me. So the entire goal of your current business in this play make-believe world is, let's say your ambient temperature in your office is 74 degrees. The job of your practice is to have 74-degree water in the building. And then I want you to think about things that might be frustrating. It's really easy. The water's not that temperature. It's hotter or it's colder. So let's break that down. Imagine you walk into the office, water's everywhere, and there's 80-degree water, 112-degree water, 160-degree water, and you're saying to your staff, guys, we got to get it together. We need 74-degree water. And imagine just the idea of continuing to tell the staff we need 74-degree water. But it doesn't happen. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Well, would you be surprised if I provided you a stainless steel pot, let's say 8 quarts, filled it with water, put it over the stove, ignited the flame, and that flame heated the water? Would you be surprised that that water wasn't 74 degrees? Of course you wouldn't. Actually, you know pretty much for sure that at some point that water is going to hit a maximum of 212 degrees for boiling, right? I mean, that's not surprising. Flame, steel, water, we're able to conduct that heat into the water. The water can heat up to 212 degrees before it starts evaporating, which is a cooling process that keeps it right at that 212 level. That's not surprising at all. But what we've just done is we've operated a system. And that system was taking water, putting it into a pot that has a high level of conductivity, providing heat to that pot where it can transfer through. A lot of the energy can make it through the stainless steel into the water and heat the water. But our business treats the fact that there is water around us that is higher than 74 degrees as odd or frustrating. And that's because what we do is we just treat the water. We say, this water isn't 74. Guys, we got to get this right. And you are not paying attention to the fact that everybody is taking water and boiling it because they think that's just what they're supposed to do. And they're not aware that that's a system to create water a lot higher than 74 degrees. Now, I know this is a little bit silly, but everything in your business is like boiling water. The few simple steps to boil water: take water, put it in a pot, turn on heat, and wait. That's a system that creates a predictable outcome of higher temperature water. Every single thing in your business is like that. And I want you to think of one that you absolutely disagree with me. You say, no, Zed, this is completely out of our control. This is not like boiling water. It just is this thing. And then let it sit with you, and you're going to realize it's just a little bit more complicated, but it's still just a system. And that's why I get so excited when I find things that frustrate me in my business. And that may sound weird, because it is a perfect outcome. If you were in that company whose job was to have 74-degree water just laying around, and you went into a room and you found someone boiling water, and you said, hey, what you doing? Oh, well, I'm getting the water ready to put in the containers. And you think to yourself, well, wait a second. 212 degrees is a lot higher than 74. It's going to take a long time for that water to get down to ambient temperature. Why are we doing this? And there's a reason. There's a reason that someone has about doing a thing that they're doing, and it's just part of a system. And so here's what happens is, our brain is driven by bias. And so right now, the fact that there is something that frustrates you, even if it's a little bit within your practice, your brain is designed to ignore the aspects of the system that created the outcome, because our brain wants to feel safe. Our brain wants to think that, it's the blame is out there. I can't waste mental energy thinking about something I can't control. When in reality, it's probably something that we can control. And so because our brain does this, it makes you blind to the fact that someone is walking into the other room and boiling the water, which is clearly making it more than 74 degrees. So what process in your office is like this? It could be something, let's say one of the challenges you mentioned in your mind was open capacity, meaning, people twiddling their thumbs because you're not getting the number of patients you want. Let's say you do want to be busier. That outcome is like boiling water. You need to find the pieces. You need to find the version of getting the metal pot, filling it with water, and putting it over a flame, because it exists. It is somewhere within your system. If your frustration is related to accounts receivable, and it seems like there is just a tremendous gap in time between you doing work and you actually collecting from the insurance company, and it feels unhealthy, and it probably is. It's just boiling water. We found practices where they had taken the most difficult insurance company to deal with, built a system to handle with that insurance company, and then because they felt like, well, it's probably safe if we just do this with everyone, and they were creating massive distance between treating a patient and actually being able to collect for what they were doing. And it seemed smart at the time, because at some point it probably made sense for someone to boil the water. Someone else could, oh, they boil water, I'll boil water. And now we don't have 74-degree water. So I hope you're able to hang with me during this kind of a silly idea. But making things simple actually takes a lot of work. And our brain wants to go one step further and just ignore it. And so there are things that are being ignored in your business. There are things that I ignored in my business, and I was frustrated with an outcome. And because I was able to take the time and really reflect, get intentional about the pieces that created the outcome I was looking for, stuff jumps out at you that is totally obvious. And that's why I thought of this silly boiling water idea, because that would be insanely obvious. And that's happening right now in your practice. And like I said, you don't have to be in a position where you think you're in trouble of going out of business. It's just, it feels harder today than it did maybe 10 years ago. It feels like increased costs are affecting you more. It feels like a reduction in insurance payments is affecting you more. Just know that that's boiling water. It is a system that's creating a perfect outcome. And it's okay that you don't like the perfect outcome. The suggestion is, don't focus on the outcome and maybe complaining or placing blame outside of the practice. Focus on the system that created that outcome predictably. And a trick that I like to do is I like to build things that fail. If I purposely create a system to make it so that a medical practice's AR is extraordinarily long, the accounts receivable, the money coming in from treating patients, you can do that purposefully. And if you were to write a list of all the things you could do to make it long and arduous, and maybe that you're not getting the reimbursements you should, you could come up with a way to do that. And I promise you that some of those things are happening in your practice right now. It could be with no-shows. It could be with money you're investing in advertising. It could be money you're investing in hiring. It could be medical device equipment that you've invested in. It could be open surgery capacity. Anything that you feel that you just wish there was something a little bit better, that is boiling water. You just need to find where the pan, the water, and the heat is, and now you can change the system. And it's such a good feeling when you find those things. And that's why I say I get excited when I come across something that I don't like, because it is a perfect outcome. So I hope something jumped out in your mind. I hope you're thinking about it in a way, how can I step back? How can I look at this system that's creating this outcome? And how can I think about it differently? How can I dive in and find these little pieces that are under our control? Because every system you have in your practice has a human as a part of it. And humans are driven by bias. And that bias makes us ignore things that our brain basically is just trying to keep us safe, trying to keep us comfortable. We have to push through that and identify what's creating the hiccups, what's creating the pinch points or constraint within my medical practice. And just pick one thing. And I promise you, you will notice that there are some things happening on purpose that you can change. And the outcome from those little changes is just, it's really powerful. So I hope that's helpful for you. If you're ever curious about the health of the business side of your practice, visit physiciangrowthaccelerator.com and check your vitals. You can go through a questionnaire and it'll help you identify where are those things. Physiciangrowthaccelerator.com, check your vitals. We'll see you again next time on the Physician Growth Accelerator.